with a lengthy history of encouraging and helping each other, but friendships will have to take a backseat on the opening tip tonight. Both will want the win. Round 30 underway with a move forward game on Tuesday. A big win for Paris over Milan at the same time as this one tonight. Fourth place Monaco hosts second place Fenerbahce. Later on it's Maccabi Bologna, Baskonia, Bayern and Madrid Asvel. The other three games come your way tomorrow, starting with Panathinaikos against Elba just north of here in Athens. Only 5 rounds remaining in the regular season. Olympiacos and Fenerbahce, the only teams looking comfortable. Fourth place, which brings home court advantage in the playoffs, is remarkably only 1 win ahead of ninth place, which only earns a spot in the play-ins. 7th place, Vesta are right in that mix. Just 1 win behind the top 4, but just 1 win ahead of potentially missing out on the postseason altogether. Now they have to face an Olympiacos side on a 6-game win streak. Vesta slipping at the wrong time. 3 straight defeats for them. And that's having won 10 of their previous 13 to climb the standings towards the top 4, now dropping to 7th. And that bad run has come while they've been at close to full strength. Now, tonight, star centre Joel Bolomboy out with an ankle injury until mid-April. Star forward Filip Petrusev not able to play tonight due to being on loan from Olympiacos. One of his backups, Luka Mitrovic, missing as well. It leaves them significantly undermanned in the front court, meaning others have to step up. And look to some of their backcourt players to do that. John Brown as a defensive player in the front line will try to keep a lid on some of the Olympiacos bigs. Ioannis Varopoulos returning to his former team. And so too is Isaiah Kanan, who is capable of putting up points from the backcourt. Kanan has put a mid-season slump behind him, scoring double figures in 8 of the last 11 games and 4 of the last 5. He's shooting 52% from 3 over those last 5 games. Last week against Milan, had 11 points in 18 minutes, going 3 of 6 from downtown. We'll also take a look at Nemanja Nedovic as well, a former Panathinaikos player. Returns here to Greece tonight. He's averaging 18 minutes a game, putting up a team 4th best 9.2 points and a team 3rd best 2.9 assists. In the round 15 victory for Zvezda over Olympiacos back in Belgrade, he fired a team-high 18 points in 19 minutes, hitting 4 of his 6 three-point shots. Olympiacos a major advantage at centre tonight, 19-2 this season when they have both Mustafa Fall and Nikola Milutinov available. Now those two face a Zvezda team short at centre, but in contrast, the hosts have significant injury problems in their backcourt. Main point guard Thomas Walker misses a 10th straight game. His impressive backup Nigel Williams-Goss also out tonight, so too is Tyler Dorsey. And that'll mean more ball handling responsibility given by head coach Yorgos Borzokas perhaps to Evan Fournier, who is going to need a return to form after a couple of tough games recently. Fournier averaging 25.5 minutes a game this season, is putting up a league 10th best 15.8 points. He's making a league 4th most 2.6 threes a game. He's also adding 2.6 assists, might need more than that tonight. But in defeat in Belgrade in round 15 in the reverse fixture of this rivalry, he went only 1 of 10 from the field. Just 2 points in 20 minutes for Fournier. Will look to improve on that. Mustafa Fall at centre, increasing his strength as the season goes on. 6.6 points, shooting a league-high 78% from the field. 2.3 assists, second in the league for a centre. In the derby last week against Panathinaikos, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds, 3 assists and 4 block shots. Now, our information is that Nikola Kalinic will have the responsibility of trying to guard the frontrunner for this season's MVP award, Sasha Vezenkov. He's the league leader in PIR, second in scoring at 20 points a game on a 66-41-92 shooting split from the power forward position. Also a league 4th best, 6.4 rebounds. Kalinic, an all-round two-way player, is in good form and was a key component when Zvezda beat Olympiacos in round 15, putting up 16 points. Olympiacos, the standout standard setters this season. They will dominate the offensive numbers that we'll see here. A league 2nd best 87.4 points a game, a league high 21.1 assists with the 4th fewest turnovers. No real advantages for Zvezda except when we'll see the defensive numbers. They're conceding slightly fewer points than the league leaders. They have the second best perimeter defense, holding opponents to just 34% from three, and they force the fifth most turnovers. That defense has to be on point tonight to stand a chance. Two Greeks on the benches. Yorgos Porzokas, born in Athens, currently in his second spell with what he calls the club of his dreams. And Ioannis Veropoulos, now with Zvezda, led Olympiacos to back-to-back domestic league titles in 2015 and 2016. Piraeus ready for the red and white derby here in the Turkish Airlines Euroleague. Three-time kings of the continent, current league leaders and title favourites Olympiacos hosting Serbian side Crvena Zvezda, who are aiming for just their second ever playoff appearance in Europe's premier competition. The guests from Belgrade will be introduced first. 16 and 13 so far. 3 straight wins to start. Star centre Joel Bolomboy got injured, and they then lost 7 in a stretch of 10. They did start to figure out how to win without Bolomboy. Back-to-back wins, including by 14 at home to Olympiacos in December. Albeit Olympiacos were missing Mustafa Fel for that one. Bolomboy's return then saw them stretch their run to 10 wins in 13, including against Barcelona, Paris, Monaco, and the derby at Partizan. But their top 4 push has since come off the rails, losing each of their last 3 by 6 at home to Žalgiris, by 18 in Munich, and last week by 2 at home to Milan. They will cling to the fact tonight that they have the joint third best road record of all teams in the competition. They're a positive 8 and 7 on their travels, only behind Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. Warm applause and appreciation for Ioannis Veropoulos returning to Olympiacos. He knows a lot about their history, and we're finding out a lot more this season in this, the centenary year of this great club. This is Piraeus. This is the home of the 3-time kings of the continent. This is the 100th year of Olympiacos as a sports club, and they're hoping it's the year that has the fairy tale finish to end a 12-year Euroleague championship drought. They're a league best 22 and 7 since losing 3 of their first 5. With their centre struggling for fitness, they've won 20 of their last 24, including their last 6 in a row, despite their main point guard Thomas Walker being injured for that stretch. The last 2 weeks here, they've beaten the next 2 best form teams in the league, Partizan by 12, and last week Panathinaikos by 2, doing the season double over their arch rivals and the defending champions. They had been winning games with their offense, scoring 90+ in 8 of their previous 9. Now they're doing it with their defense, holding Partizan to 70 points and Panathinaikos to 74. Off the back of that derby win last week, Yorgos Porzokas got into a war of words with Panathinaikos head coach Ergin Ataman. Shots fired from both sides of the Athens divide, but it is Yorgos Porzokas' team on top right now and looking to take the trophy off their arch rivals. We'll find out your starting 5s tonight, beginning with the travelling team from Serbia. Cody Miller-McIntyre, Nemanja Nedovic, Dejan Davidovac, Nikola Kalinic and Rokas Giedraitis in that small ball lineup. It will be small no matter who Ioannis Veropoulos goes with. Their main centre, Joel Bolomboy, out. Filip Petrushev, who can star in the 4 position or play in the 5, is also absent tonight. For Olympiacos, Luka Vildoza, the only recognised guard. That's where they're short tonight. Sasha Vezenkov, Kostas Papanikolaou, the captain, Evan Fournier, and Mustafa Fall, who was so impressive in last week's derby win. More responsibility for Luka Vildoza as well, perhaps for Sabin Lee, who'll come off the bench for his 3rd appearance since signing for the club. Olympiacos hold a 9-7 advantage in the modern era head-to-head between these two. But quite remarkably, given Olympiacos have been a Final Four club the last 3 years, Zvezda have won 5 of the last 7 meetings. That includes the 87-73 triumph earlier this season in Belgrade, when they were also playing without Bolomboy and Petrushev. The difference that night was Olympiacos were playing without Fall. And now perhaps their worst performance of the season. Zvezda's defense destructive, held the Greeks to just 26% from 3 and forced 17 turnovers. Olympiacos second in the league for points this season. They were around 14 points lower than that when these two met in Belgrade. And on the offensive end, the Serbians shot an excellent 58-44-92 split as a team. Repeating that two-way performance on the road here in Piraeus is a far tougher task, especially when he is on board, Mustafa Fall, who's getting back to his best. This one always a special night for these fans. Friendships that stretch from Greece to Serbia. Two fan bases who've sang each other's songs, both amongst the most passionate in all of sport, banded together as a brotherhood by their red and white hearts. Same colours, same blood, reads the back. Have cultivated a culture of collaboration and camaraderie. And we go from the derby of eternal enemies here last week to this friendly red and white rivalry tonight. But both teams will fight tooth and nail for the next 40 minutes in the midst of a red-hot Euroleague playoff race. Milos Teodosic, another player returning to his former club tonight. He'll come off the bench for Crvena Zvezda. Olympiacos trailing by 16 points at the half, 27-43 to Crvena Zvezda. And stay with us as we wrap up the first 2 periods here and get some reaction from both sides. There'll have to be a reaction from Olympiacos after the main break. Olympiacos, the team top of the league on a 6-game win streak. Crvena Zvezda, the team slipping on a 3-game losing streak. But this is the Turkish Airlines Euroleague, where you should only expect the unexpected. Let's hear from Olympiacos first, from their guard, Sabin Lee.
After 20 minutes with Detroit, what is the main problem that you solved in the second half?
Just defensive pressure, and then, we're missing a lot of easy bunnies, me personally, so that's what we got to do better in the second half.
Thank you, Sabin.
Yeah, he refers to it there, Sabin Lee. The blown shots close to the basket. I can't remember seeing as many missed shots around the rim in a whole game this season as we've seen in the first half of this one. Olympiacos only 7 of 19 from 2. They've blown 2 or 3 open layups even. Sabin Lee, 5 points, 2 assists. Is the player we're highlighting for them at the half here. Crvena's +3 in this game. They also got a bit of a spark with McKissick, who was in the same lineup. In McKissick's 11 minutes, they were +5. So those two have offered what they can from the bench. Sabin Lee, 5 points and a couple of assists. Came in and got a quick dunk. Has shown some nice handles. Plenty of positivity. But Olympiacos need plenty more. We'll take a look at one of the joint top scorers. Outside passing. A beauty. One of Zvezda's 16 assists. And that one of Giedraitis' 5 threes. 5 of 6 on the outside, 15 points in 18 minutes of action. 3 steals on defense as well. He's got a 21 PIR, so too has Miller McIntyre, who's got 15 points and a game-high 7 rebounds. Ready for the start of the second half. Rokas Giedraitis, your BKT best performer of the second period. 12 of his 15 coming in that last quarter of play. (27-43) in favor of Crvena Zvezda. You'd be forgiven for thinking the scoreline would be the other way around. Zvezda arriving here, missing their two-star big men. Joel Bolomboy injured, Filip Petrushev ineligible to play as he's on loan from Olympiacos. Also missing one of the backups in that front line in Luka Mitrovic. They end their three-game slide to refuel their push for the playoffs and perhaps their push for the top four. Olympiacos a long way off, securing that #1 seed for the playoffs now after this defeat. Their first defeat in 7, just their second defeat in 15, and just their third defeat at home all season. Isaiah Kanem, one of the stars for Zvezda, all 12 of his points coming in the second half. They had 4 scorers in double figures, led by Rokas Giedraitis with 20, as he went 6 of 7 from downtown. 13 points for Dejan Davidovac, around 4 times his season average. 15 points, 11 rebounds for Cody Miller-McIntyre, who tied his career high in rebounds. Zvezda had 24 assists on their 27 made field goals. They played it superbly at both ends of the floor, and they didn't allow Olympiacos to play their usual free-flowing game. John Brown, a key part of that with his defense. And one of 4 players who had steals tonight, 3 steals each for Giedraitis and Yago. Crvena Zvezda win by 8 on the road at the standard setters Olympiacos, 73-81. And Zvezda move to 17-13 for the season as they end their 3-game losing streak. We'll start wrapping this one up by finding out your Motorola magic moment. Quite appropriate, it comes on defense from Crvena Zvezda. Nikola Kalinic with springs in his sneakers to meet Fournier at the rim. Kalinic, not renowned for his shot blocking. Plenty of life in his legs, having sat for so long on the bench in foul trouble. And then putting up big numbers on important plays when he came back onto the floor. Shaq McKissick with a 26 PIR for Olympiacos, but ends up on the wrong side of the result. Giedraitis leads the way in that regard, and in terms of scoring, Vezenkov had 19 points and 9 rebounds, but also on the wrong side of the result. And Saban Lee was the man to take on the playmaking responsibility for Olympiacos, who lose with their 2 main playmakers injured tonight, Thomas Walkup and Nigel Williams-Goss. Zvezda was short-handed in the center position, but still able to match Olympiacos on the boards thanks to the 11 rebounds from Cody Miller-McIntyre to tie his career high. Much of this arena is cleared out, but the Gate 7 section will remain and show their appreciation for the efforts of their team in the second half to try and overturn what was a 17-point deficit. They did close it to just 1 possession at the end of the 3rd period. And it felt like the narrative at that point was going to be the big comeback with the big second half performance from Olympiacos, who've turned this place into a fortress this season. But Crvena Zvezda produced a twist in the tail. A look at the top scorers. You see Davidovac only averaging 3 for the season at 13. Vezenkov got to 19 in the end after a tough first half. McKissick had 14 points. Cody Miller-McIntyre, a return to form for him, having really struggled the second half of the regular season. 15 points, 11 rebounds tonight. Elsewhere, Monaco by 7 at home to Fenerbahce in a fight between the 4th place team and the 2nd place team. Olympiacos, the top team, losing tonight. Fenerbahce, the second-place team, might lose as well. Baskonia in the first quarter up by 11 at home to Bayern as they look to keep their playoff hopes alive. They've got a bit of ground to make up on the play-in places, but an excellent start in the Basque Country. Virtus Bologna up by 6 on the road at Maccabi. Two teams cut adrift of the playoff fight this season. Not many are. The goal of reaching the postseason is still there for the vast majority, not for those two. We started tonight with just one win, separating 4th from 9th. Crvena Zvezda were right in the middle of that pack. They get their 17th win of the season. That ties 3 teams above them. Paris, Bayern and Monaco, who are in that 4th position, which brings the reward of home court advantage in the playoffs. Shooting the lights out at the home of the league leaders. He made his first 4 threes before missing one. The off of them. 20 points, a game high, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, a joint game high, 6 of 7 three-point shooting, and the 28 PIR leads all players for both teams here tonight. That comes from a player who'd only been averaging 3.9 points in 14 minutes of action this season and had only been shooting 31% on the perimeter. Let's hear from the Adidas player of the game. Here's Rokas Giedraitis.
Rokas, congratulations for this victory against a very tough team and court. What was the key point? Is the consistency, as he said, coach, at the halftime?
Yeah, I agree with coach, but I want to add that I think we play as a team all 40 minutes. We fight, doesn't matter, you know, was bad moments or good moments, but we fought all game, and I think that was the key.
This victory is a big statement about the Red Stars' goals.
Yeah, of course, and win against the best team in Europe, you know, it's this is something special, you know.
Thank you, Rokas.